All right, seeker of hidden currents, prepare to descend. You stand at the precipice of a truth many prefer to leave undisturbed, veiled by the pleasantries of polite society. But you are not many, are you? The path you tread is for those who dare to gaze into the shadowed corners of the human heart, starting with your own. Have you ever tasted words so sweet they bordered on poison, a balm that numbed rather than healed? When a voice mirrors your fondest image of yourself, does a deeper, more ancient instinct not stir within you? A whisper of caution from the abyss of your own becoming. What if the melody that soothes your ears is, in truth, a siren's call, luring your ship of self onto the rocks of a carefully constructed illusion? Could it be that the very admiration you crave is the mask for an appraisal far more critical? Consider the sculptor who praises the clay, not for its inherent worth, but for its malleability, its readiness to be shaped by a will other than its own. When adulation flows too easily, like wine from a cracked amphora, does it not suggest a certain porousness in the vessel receiving it? The lion does not require the validation of the lamb, nor the eagle the applause of the sparrows. Why, then, does this echo of greatness, offered so freely by another, resonate so profoundly within the chambers of your masculine pride, unless a hollowness there begs to be filled? Imagine, if you will, a delicate dance of shadows, where one partner leads with honeyed affirmations, while their true steps trace a pattern of subtle disdain. Could it be that the effusive praise for your perceived strength is but a silken glove concealing a hand that measures your every vulnerability? This flattery, this intoxicating nectar, might it be a meticulously brewed draft designed not to elevate but to render you predictable, manageable, perhaps even in the silent calculus of another's soul, contemptible? The abyss does not always announce itself with a roar. Sometimes it whispers in the language of your deepest desires. And what desire is more potent than to be seen, to be affirmed, to have your virtues sung aloud? Yet what if this very song is the lullaby that keeps your inner sentinel asleep, while a quiet siege is laid against the fortress of your self-awareness? To mistake the flatterer's mirror for a true reflection is to begin a subtle, yet inexorable journey away from your own genuine power, toward a gilded cage of their design. We stand now before a locked door, and the air grows heavy with unspoken reckonings. The key to understanding this perilous dynamic, this dance of admiration and potential despisal, lies not in outward accusation, but in inward excavation. For the master I speak of, Nietzsche, warned that the path to self-overcoming is paved with such uncomfortable truths. Are you prepared to turn that key, to confront what lies beyond this threshold, and learn how the sweetest words might conceal the sharpest judgments? Judgments that could, if unheeded, define you in ways you never intended? The answer is a descent, and it begins now. So the threshold has been crossed. You chose to step into this less traveled chamber of awareness, where the sweet incense of praise begins to thin, revealing the starker, more complex air beneath. Let us not recoil, for it is in these unlit passages of the human drama that the true contours of power, vulnerability, and the eternal dance of wills are most sharply defined. The revelation I hinted at is not a single sudden thunderclap. It is an unraveling, a slow, deliberate peeling away of layers, each one revealing a truth more unsettling yet more liberating than the last. This woman who flatters, whose words are like a carefully woven tapestry depicting your most heroic self. Have you ever truly questioned the loom upon which it was crafted, or the intent of the weaver? The praise that feels like sunlight on your skin, warming you, validating your ascent. Could it not also be the precise illumination that makes you an easier target for a gaze that calculates, that assesses, that perhaps in its most secret chamber holds you in a subtle, unspoken contempt? For what is contempt, if not the silent judgment that one is predictable, easily swayed, a known quantity in the grand, chaotic equation of existence? Think of the hunger, that primal human ache for recognition. In the theater of masculine striving, where every act is a bid for significance, for a testament to one's strength, one's impact, is it not here that the seeds of such flattery find their most fertile ground? A word of affirmation in a desert of self-doubt can bloom like an oasis. But what if this oasis is a mirage, shimmering with the reflection of your own thirst? A thirst she has learned to exploit with the precision of a desert nomad who knows where the desperate will always seek water, no matter how brackish. Does her praise focus on the mountains you have already climbed? Or does it subtly discourage you from scaling new, more treacherous peaks where her influence might wane? Consider this. Genuine admiration often carries with it a challenge, an expectation of continued growth, a reflection that inspires yet also demands. But the flattery we dissect here, it can be a silken chain binding you to a comfortable known version of yourself, a version she finds convenient. A hero kept in a gilded display case is still a captive, is he not? And what of her own inner world, this purveyor of perfectly sculpted words? Is it not possible that her flattery is born from a place not of reverence, but of a cool, detached observation of what strings to pull, what notes to play to make the marionette dance to her tune? Perhaps she has looked into the abyss of her own ambitions, her own fears, and seen there the utility of charming the strong, of disarming the powerful with the very weapon they least suspect. Their own ego, mirrored back at them with intoxicating precision. The truly strong individual, the one who has wrestled with his own demons and stared into his own void, often develops a certain immunity to the sweeter poisons. He has tasted too much of the bitter truth of existence to be easily intoxicated by unearned nectar. But if a man has not yet forged this inner citadel, if his sense of self is still propped up by external scaffolding, then these honeyed words become the very pillars of his perceived reality. And what happens when these pillars are controlled by another? Reflect upon those moments of praise. Did they arrive when you were at your most resolute, your most self-possessed? Or did they perhaps often materialize in times of subtle vulnerability, after a perceived failure during a moment of questioning? Like a skilled physician administering a drug, the timing, the dosage of flattery can be everything. It can be the difference between a genuine salute and a carefully calibrated maneuver to ensure compliance, to foster dependence. The silence that follows such praise in your own mind, is it a silence of peace, of genuine self-assurance? Or is it the quiet hum of a machine well-oiled, a subtle internal purring that signals not contentment, but a temporary satiation of a deeper, unacknowledged need? This distinction is the razor's edge upon which true self-awareness teeters. To mistake the latter for the former is to begin the slow, imperceptible drift into a slumber of the spirit. And what if this woman, in her own labyrinthine heart, despises the very ease with which you accept her adulation? Could it be that your ready acceptance confirms her silent hypothesis? That you are, beneath the veneer of strength she so artfully praises, susceptible, perhaps even a little hollow? It is a chilling thought, is it not? That the architect of your pedestal might secretly scorn the statue she has placed upon it, precisely because it was so easy to erect. This is not to say that all praise is a lie, all admiration a trap. The world is not so barren. But the discerning mind, the spirit, that yearns for authentic heights, must learn to distinguish the resonance of true steel from the hollow clang of painted tin. And this discernment is born not of cynicism, but of a profound self-knowledge, a familiarity with one's own depths and shallows, one's own music and dissonances. Consider the possibility that she, too, is caught in a form of charade, perhaps even unconsciously. Maybe her flattery is a learned behavior, a shield against her own insecurities, a way of navigating a world she perceives as inherently adversarial. Her potential contempt might not even be a fully formed conscious emotion, but rather a shadowy undercurrent, a byproduct of a transactional view of human connection. Does this make the dynamic less perilous for you? Or perhaps more so because Its roots are buried deeper in a more complex shared unconsciousness. When you hear those perfectly tuned words, designed to resonate with your most cherished self-perceptions, ask yourself, what is being unsaid? What truth about yourself, about her, about the dynamic between you, is being artfully obscured by this pleasing sound? The most profound communications often occur in the silences, in the subtle shifts of energy, in the instincts that whisper warnings your conscious mind is too eager to dismiss. There is a peculiar strength that comes from acknowledging one's own capacity for self-deception, for being lulled by the siren song of ego. It is not a weakness to admit this potential. No, it is the first, most crucial step towards inoculating oneself against it. The man who believes himself impervious is often the most vulnerable, for his gates are unguarded, his watchmen asleep, charmed by the flute player at the walls. This journey into the shadowed side of human interaction, particularly this intricate ballet of flattery and hidden sentiment, is not meant to induce paranoia, but to awaken a sharper, more discerning perception. It is an invitation to cultivate an inner ear, one that can detect the subtle discord beneath the most harmonious melody, the faint tremor of insincerity beneath the smoothest touch. For if you are to build a life upon bedrock, not sand, you must become attuned to the authentic. And authenticity, like a rare and potent element, often carries a starkness, a directness, that the unprepared mind finds uncomfortable, even abrasive. The flattery we speak of is the opposite. It is all smooth edges, all comforting curves designed to soothe, not to sculpt. Therefore, this path demands courage. The courage to question what is pleasant, to probe what is comfortable, and to perhaps discover that some of the warmth you have basked in was not the sun, but the carefully managed glow of a hidden fire, a fire whose purpose you are only now beginning to truly comprehend. The next step is to understand the nature of that fire and what it truly consumes. And so the curtain falls, not on a finished play, but on a stage newly set within you. The echoes of this descent into the subtle theater of human exchange, the honeyed words, the shadowed intentions, the fragile dance of ego and insight, these will linger not as accusations, but as quiet questions in the chambers of your own awareness. The path revealed was not one of condemnation, but of a sharper, more demanding self-discernment, a call to listen beyond the surface melodies. You have journeyed through the uncomfortable possibility that admiration can be a mask, and that the reflection you are shown is not always your own, but a carefully crafted illusion. Perhaps you now sense that true strength is not measured by the volume of applause, but by the quiet integrity of a spirit that seeks no false mirrors, that dares to stand unadorned before its own gaze. This seeing, this willingness to pierce the veils, is not an end, but a newfound way of navigating the currents of existence, under a sky less crowded with comforting deceptions. What if the most profound act of rebellion, in a world saturated with performance, is to reclaim the sanctity of your own unspoken truth? To recognize that the validation you might seek externally already resides within, like a sleeping lion, awaiting not the flattery of the flock, but the silent, internal call to awaken to its own sovereign power. This quiet knowing, this unshakable center, this is the treasure guarded from those who deal only in surfaces. The silence that judges praise is the beginning of wisdom. If these words have stirred a resonance within you, a flicker of recognition in the deeper currents of your own experience, know that this is not a solitary voyage. The quest for authenticity, for a vision unclouded by the sweet poisons of conformity or the subtle contempt of the calculating, is a path trodden by all who would choose the arduous ascent over the comfortable plateau. The echoes you feel are shared by others who also seek to hear their own true note above the din. Therefore, if this exploration has ignited a spark, if you feel compelled to delve further into these realms of masculine psychology and philosophical unmasking, let your engagement be a signal. Like this video if it has touched a chord. Comment with the insights or resistances it has unearthed within you. Share it with those few who you know are also ready to look beyond the pale reflections. And subscribe, not merely to a channel, but to a continuing excavation. A commitment to walking this path of becoming, with eyes wide open. For the journey into the self is endless, and its greatest revelations are always yet to come.